The silver-haired mannequin looked perfectly respectable until I turned it toward the window. Under the morning light, one small problem became impossible to miss. The haircut formed a heavy circle around the face, with almost all the volume sitting beside the jaw. From the front, it looked neat. From the side, it made the entire face appear lower, wider, and more tired. Then I changed only 3 things. I opened the neckline, lifted the crown, and added one diagonal section beside the cheekbone. No color, no extensions, and no complicated styling. Yet the face suddenly looked more defined. The eyes appeared brighter, and the hair seemed noticeably fuller. That is what the right haircut can do. It cannot change your age, and it should not try to. But it can change where the eye travels, which features become more visible, and whether your hair makes you look energized or weighed down. My name is Elaine Mercer. I am 68 years old, and I spent more than 40 years working as a hairstylist and salon educator. These days, I work from a small converted sunroom behind my home outside Portland, Oregon. The room has tall windows, 2 antique mirrors, several mature hair mannequin heads, and old wooden drawers filled with the combs, brushes, clips, and scissors I have used throughout my career. Most of the women who visit me are not searching for dramatic makeovers. They want something simpler. They want to look in the mirror and recognize the woman they still feel like inside. The conversation often begins with the same sentence. A woman sits in the chair, touches the sides of her hair, and says, "I just want something easy." There is nothing wrong with wanting manageable hair. The problem is that easy is often translated into short, round, heavily controlled, and completely without movement. The result may be practical, but it can also flatten the crown, widen the lower face, hide the neck, and create the stiff, cap-like shape so many women over 60 have worn for years. The real mistake is not short hair. Short hair can be elegant, feminine, modern, and extremely flattering. The mistake is allowing convenience to become the only goal. Hair changes over time. Density may decrease, especially around the part or temples. Some strands become finer, while gray hair may feel coarser, drier, or more resistant. The face also changes gradually as skin, soft tissue, and volume shift. None of that is a flaw. It simply means the haircut that worked at 40 may no longer be the most flattering choice at 60 or 70. A good haircut should work with the face and hair you have now. It should place volume where it creates lift, preserve density where the hair looks thinnest, direct attention toward the eyes, and avoid adding unnecessary width around the jaw. Years ago, a retired librarian named Carol came into my studio carrying a photograph from her daughter's wedding. She looked beautifully dressed and genuinely happy, but she pointed to the picture and said, "I look exhausted even though I wasn't." Her hair was healthy and neatly styled. The problem was the shape. The widest part of the haircut sat directly beside the widest part of her jaw. The crown was flat, the sides curved inward, and the fringe created a heavy line across her forehead. Every direction in the haircut pulled the eye downward. But that was not the detail that changed everything. When I examined her hair closely, I discovered she had much more density than she believed. The strands had simply been directed into the same flat pattern for years. Many women do not need more hair. They need a better arrangement of the hair they already have. The first cut that can make a dramatic difference is the structured precision bob. A traditional rounded bob often becomes widest near the chin. That can create a bell shape, narrow near the crown and heavy at the bottom. A more architectural bob does the opposite. It keeps a clean, deliberate perimeter near the jaw or slightly below it, while removing selected weight from inside the haircut. The important idea is a strong outside edge with controlled internal movement. This does not mean aggressively thinning fine hair. In fact, careless thinning can make the ends look weak and transparent. The goal is to preserve visible density around the perimeter while reducing only the internal bulk that prevents the hair from moving. A useful phrase to tell your stylist is, "I want a clean perimeter with gentle internal texture. Please protect the density at the ends." The exact length should depend on your face and neck. If the hair ends directly at the widest point of the jaw, it may emphasize that area. Allowing it to fall slightly below can create a longer line. On another woman, a shorter bob that reveals more neck may be more flattering. This is why the stylist must look at your profile, not only the front. In my studio, I keep two silver-haired mannequin heads for demonstrations. One has a solid one-length bob with too much internal weight. The other has almost the same outer length, but the inside has been carefully refined. When I place both near an open window, the heavy bob barely moves. The second one separates gently in the air, catches the light, and looks much more dimensional. That movement makes the hair appear healthier and fuller. Styling can remain simple. Use a heat protectant if you use hot tools. Dry the roots with a little lift instead of pressing them flat against the head. Smooth the surface with a round brush or flat iron, then add only a slight bend at the ends. Do not curl everything under into a perfect circle. Tucking one side behind the ear can also make the style feel fresher. It exposes the cheekbone, opens the face, and breaks the symmetry. But before choosing this cut, remember that a precise bob requires maintenance. Depending on your growth rate and how sharp you want the perimeter to remain, you may need a trim every 6 to 8 weeks. If you prefer fewer salon visits, ask for a softer version that grows out naturally. The second cut is the soft textured shag. This style works beautifully for women who feel that smooth, perfectly symmetrical hair makes every facial change more noticeable. A rigid haircut creates clear, uninterrupted lines. Texture gives the eye more places to travel. Instead of one heavy horizontal shape, the soft shag uses vertical and diagonal layers. These layers create movement around the temples, cheekbones, and crown. The result is not messy when it is cut correctly. It is controlled softness. A former music teacher named Denise once came to me with naturally wavy silver hair. Every morning she brushed it smooth because she believed texture looked untidy. By lunchtime, the crown had collapsed and the ends had expanded outward, creating exactly the shape she disliked. When I asked her to stop brushing for a moment and let the hair fall naturally, soft bends appeared around her face. Her natural texture was not the problem. It was the feature the haircut should have been using. We added shorter layers near the crown, longer pieces through the sides, and face framing sections that began around the cheekbones. Her hair looked fuller because the layers rested at different levels instead of lying flat on top of each other. The cutting technique matters. Heavy, straight-across layers can create visible steps or make the ends look thin. Point cutting, slide cutting, or careful slicing may produce softer separation, but the stylist must adapt the method to your texture and density. Ask where the shortest crown layer will fall. If it is too short, it may stand up or become difficult to control. If the sides are overlayered, the lower hair may lose too much density. A curtain fringe or bottleneck fringe can work especially well with this cut. The center is shorter, while the sides gradually become longer and blend toward the cheekbones. It should frame the eyes rather than hide the entire forehead. The best fringe length depends on your growth pattern. A strong cowlick may require a longer fringe. Fine hair may need a smaller section. Curly or wavy hair must be cut with enough allowance for shrinkage. For styling, begin with less product than you think you need. Apply a small amount of lightweight mousse through damp hair, focusing mostly on the mid-lengths. Scrunch gently if you have natural wave. Air dry or use a diffuser on low heat. When the hair is dry, lift the crown with your fingertips instead of brushing through everything. A little dry shampoo may help with separation, but too much can make silver hair look dusty or dull. If you cannot move your fingers easily through the style, you have probably used too much product. This haircut should remain touchable. The third option is the modern pixie-bob, sometimes called a bixie. This cut is ideal for a woman who wants the freedom of short hair, but still wants softness around her face. The back and nape are kept neat and relatively short, while the crown and front remain longer. The longer front section is important because it creates a diagonal line across the forehead and toward the cheekbone. Diagonal lines suggest movement and direction. A fully rounded haircut keeps the eye trapped inside one shape. A diagonal section guides the eye upward and across the face. I once worked with a woman named Marjorie who brought several photographs of very short pixie cuts. But during the consultation, she kept touching the hair beside her cheeks. When I asked what worried her, she admitted that she did not want her face to feel completely exposed. So we did not copy the photographs exactly. We tapered the nape, kept the crown light and lifted, and left a longer sweeping section in front. She received the convenience of short hair without losing the softness she wanted. That is why reference photographs should be discussed rather than copied blindly. You may like the back of one haircut, the fringe of another, and the softness of a third. Show your stylist which individual features you want. The pixie bob can be especially beautiful on silver and salt and pepper hair because natural texture creates separation. Gray hair is not the same for everyone. Some women have wiry, strong strands, while others have very fine, soft hair. But when texture is present, this cut can use it rather than forcing every strand to lie perfectly flat. At home, use a very small amount of lightweight cream or styling paste. Rub it between your fingers until it is almost invisible. Then touch selected ends and lift the crown gently. Guide the fringe diagonally and leave a little irregularity. Do not cover the entire head with heavy wax or gel. That can separate the hair too strongly and expose the scalp. Ask to see the back before the appointment ends. The nape should look intentional, and the transition into the crown should be smooth. It should not form a bulky shelf or mushroom shape. Because this cut depends on a clean neckline, it may need trimming more frequently than a shag. Many women return every 4 to 8 weeks, depending on how quickly their hair grows and how neat they want the nape to remain. The fourth transformation does not require changing your entire haircut. It involves adding a soft fringe. A well-designed fringe can draw attention toward the eyes, soften forehead lines, and make thinning near the front hairline less noticeable. But it can also become thick, wide, and difficult if too much hair is pulled forward. This is one of the most common mistakes I see. A stylist takes a fringe section from too far back on the head. That removes valuable density from the crown and creates a heavy curtain in front. The top becomes flatter, while the fringe becomes harder to control. Ask your stylist to show you the section before cutting it. For many women, the fringe should begin relatively close to the natural front hairline, rather than extending halfway toward the crown. A bottleneck fringe is often easier to wear than a rigid, straight-across bang. It is shorter near the center and gradually lengthens toward the temples. Those longer side pieces blend into the haircut and can be swept away from the face. A woman named Ruth once came to me after cutting her own fringe at home. She had pulled a large section forward, stretched it tightly, and cut one straight line. When the hair dried, it sprang upward and formed a thick shelf above her eyebrows. We did not cut it shorter to correct it. That would have made the problem worse. Instead, we softened the edges, redirected part of the section toward the sides, and allowed it to grow into a gentler shape. Her experience contains an important warning. Never stretch wavy or curly fringe while deciding the final length. Hair rises as it dries. Cutting it too short while wet can produce a very different result later. You also do not need to style your entire head every morning. Dampen only the fringe, then guide it from side to side while drying. This prevents it from becoming locked into one stiff curve. Use your fingers or a small brush and avoid wrapping it tightly into a large round roll. A soft fringe can make a ponytail, low bun, or simple clip look more finished because the area around the face already appears intentional. The fifth cut is the asymmetrical graduated bob. This style is for the woman who wants something more distinctive. The back is slightly shorter and shaped. The front remains longer, and one side may fall subtly lower than the other. The difference does not need to be dramatic. Even a small variation creates a diagonal line that keeps the eye moving across the face. The graduated back can lift the shape and reveal the nape, but it must be controlled. Too much stacking can create a round, inflated back that looks dated. Too little structure may leave the crown flat. The graduation should follow the head shape and connect smoothly into the longer front sections. I once worked with a former gallery owner named Sylvia who wore black glasses, silver earrings, and deep red lipstick. She had repeatedly been given safe, perfectly even bobs that did not match her personality. During the consultation, she removed one earring, placed it on the table, and said, "I want people to notice this." That sentence gave us the design. We cut the side near the earring slightly shorter so she could tuck it behind her ear. The opposite side remained longer and fell toward the jaw. The back was graduated gently instead of being heavily stacked. The result looked modern without appearing extreme. People noticed her glasses, cheekbone, and jewelry before they noticed that the sides were different lengths. This cut can look especially dimensional on silver hair because the varied lengths reveal natural white, gray, and charcoal tones. But it also works well with colored hair when the ends are healthy and the shape is maintained. Bring your everyday glasses to the salon. Hair near the temples may behave differently when it rests over the arms of the frames. Also make sure your usual part is in place before the final shape is cut, because changing the part can alter the apparent length on each side. Now, which of these 5 cuts is right for you? A structured bob works well for someone who likes polished lines and is comfortable with regular trims. A soft shag suits natural texture and relaxed movement. A pixie bob offers short hair freedom with softness around the face. A fringe can refresh your current style without removing much length. An asymmetrical bob creates a stronger, more directional silhouette. Before your appointment, take photographs of your current hair from the front, both sides, and the back. Do not style it more carefully than usual. Your stylist needs to see how it behaves in real life. Then collect 2 or 3 reference images of women with hair texture and density similar to yours. A haircut shown on very thick hair may behave differently on fine hair. A shape photographed on straight hair may require more daily styling if your hair is curly. At the salon, describe what you want the haircut to do rather than relying only on the name. Say, I want the shape to feel lifted, not round. Say, please preserve density at the perimeter and remove weight only where necessary. And say, please show me the back and both sides before you finish. Those 3 phrases can prevent many of the most common mistakes. Also ask the stylist to show you the easiest way to recreate the look at home. A professional blowout can make almost any haircut look full for one afternoon. You need to know what happens when you style it yourself. Ask which brush to use, where to direct the dryer, how much product is necessary, and whether the haircut can air dry successfully. Take a short video of the demonstration if the stylist allows it. Be cautious with heavy oils, thick serums, and rich creams. Fine hair can collapse quickly when too much product is placed near the roots. Begin with a tiny amount. You can always add more. Use moderate heat, especially if your hair is colored, lightened, dry, or fragile. Apply a heat protectant and avoid passing a hot iron repeatedly over the same section. And remember that sudden shedding, patchy hair loss, scalp irritation, or rapid changes in density should be discussed with a qualified healthcare professional or dermatologist. A haircut can improve the appearance of thinning hair, but it cannot diagnose an underlying medical issue. Your final action plan is simple. Examine your current shape from every angle. Decide whether you want more crown lift, a cleaner jawline, softness around the eyes, an easier short style, or a more modern silhouette. Choose realistic reference images. Protect the density at your ends. Avoid excessive thinning, heavy fringes, and round shapes that concentrate all the width near the jaw. Ask to see the back before leaving the chair. With the right cut, you can reasonably expect your hair to move more naturally, frame your features more effectively, and appear fuller where the design supports it. When Carol returned to my sunroom several weeks after we changed her rounded haircut, she brought a new family photograph. Her crown was softly lifted, her neckline was cleaner, and one side was tucked behind her glasses. She placed the new picture beside the old wedding photograph and studied them quietly. "I do not think I look younger," she finally said. "I think I look more awake." That may be the best description of a successful haircut I have ever heard. The goal is not to erase the years you have lived. It is to stop wearing a shape that no longer reflects your energy. Your confidence, humor, intelligence, and presence have not disappeared. Your haircut should not suggest that they have. Which of these 5 changes would make the biggest difference to your hair right now? The structured bob, the textured shag, the pixie bob, the soft fringe, or the asymmetrical bob? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe for more practical style guidance for women who want to look current without trying to look like someone else. And in the next video, I will show you the everyday parting and styling habits that can quietly make fine hair look flatter, along with the small changes that can restore visible volume without extensions.